Somewhere in a box in your parents' house, there is a photo of you. You are maybe 8 months old. You are laughing at something. You have no idea what it was. You will never know what it was. Your brain was there. Your eyes were open. And yet none of it survived. But the real answer for why is far stranger than simply forgetting. You didn't lose that memory. You never built one in the first place. This is called infantile amnesia. Sigmund Freud named it over a century ago, though his explanation for it turned out to be almost entirely wrong. He thought children repressed their earliest memories because they were too disturbing to keep. Modern science tells a very different story. Your brain wasn't hiding anything from you. It simply hadn't finished building the machinery required to keep it. Think about what a memory actually is. It's not a video file sitting in storage, waiting to be played back. It's a pattern, stitched together across different regions of your brain, that can be reconstructed later. And the region most responsible for stitching that pattern together is called the hippocampus. Say it slowly. Hippocampus. It's shaped roughly like a seahorse, tucked deep in your temporal lobe, and it acts like an index card system for your life. Without it, experiences happen, but they don't get filed anywhere you can find them again. Here's the strange part. Babies are learning constantly. They recognize faces. They remember routines. They cry when a stranger holds them instead of their mother, which means somewhere, some kind of memory is happening. So why does none of it stick around into adulthood? Researcher Carolyn Rovi-Collier ran a series of experiments in the 1980s that changed how scientists thought about infant memory entirely. She tied a ribbon from a baby's ankle to a mobile hanging above the crib. The baby would kick, the mobile would move, and within minutes, infants as young as 2 or 3 months old learned the connection and started kicking on purpose to make it move. Weeks later, if you hung the same mobile above them again, they remembered. They kicked immediately without needing to relearn it. So babies can remember, just not the way you remember. What Rovi-Collier's mobile experiments revealed is something scientists now call procedural or implicit memory. It's the kind of memory that lives in your body rather than your storytelling mind. It's how you remember how to ride a bike without consciously recalling the day you learned. Babies are extremely good at this kind of memory. What they can't yet do is the other kind. Episodic memory. The kind where you can mentally travel back and say, this happened at this time in this place and it happened to me. That second kind of memory needs more than a hippocampus quietly filing things away. It needs a sense of self to file them under. Psychologist Patricia Bauer has spent decades studying exactly when this shift happens in children, and her research points to something remarkable. The hippocampus in a baby's brain is still growing new neurons at an explosive rate throughout the first few years of life. New cells are inserted into existing circuits so quickly that older connections get pushed aside, overwritten, or restructured entirely. Some researchers believe this rapid neurogenesis may be part of why early memories don't survive. The very hardware needed to store them is still being rebuilt out from under itself. Imagine trying to save a document on a computer that is constantly rewiring its own hard drive. That's roughly what your brain was doing during your first 2 or 3 years of life. But there's another piece to this puzzle, and it has nothing to do with neurons at all. It has to do with language. Around age 3 or 4, something shifts. Children begin to talk about their experiences in narrative form. Not just this happened, but this happened to me, and then this happened next, and it made me feel a certain way. Researcher Nora Newcomb has shown that children who develop stronger narrative and language skills earlier tend to retain earlier memories than children who develop these skills later. Why would that matter? Because memory, especially the kind you can recall on demand years later, isn't just stored. It's told. It's organized the way a story is organized, with a beginning, a sequence, a self at the center of it. And here is where the science gets almost philosophical. Psychologist Elaine Reese studied something called reminiscing style, the way parents talk to their young children about the past. Parents who elaborated, who asked open questions like what happened next, and how did that make you feel, had children who developed richer, more detailed autobiographical memories than parents who simply confirmed facts. In other words, the presence of another person, helping a child build the story of their own life, may be one of the ingredients that determines which memories survive into adulthood at all. Your earliest memories, then, weren't just recorded. They were co-authored. This is why most adults, across cultures, report their earliest memory landing somewhere between ages 3 and 4. Not because nothing happened before then. Plenty happened. You were fed, held, spoken to, sung to, frightened, comforted, delighted, thousands of times over. But your brain hadn't yet built the storytelling structure required to keep any of it filed under a self that could look back later and say, "That was me." Which raises an uncomfortable question. If your earliest years, the years that arguably shaped your temperament, your attachments, your sense of safety in the world, left no retrievable memories at all, then how much of who you are was built by things you will never consciously remember? Quite a lot, it turns out. The attachment patterns formed in your first year of life, whether you learned early on that comfort would come when you cried, or that it might not, appear to shape adult relationship patterns decades later, according to attachment researchers going back to Mary Ainsworth's work in the 1970s. None of that is stored as a memory you can narrate. It's stored as something closer to a default setting. A felt sense of whether the world tends to respond to you or ignore you. You are, in a very real sense, running on code you cannot read. And this is where the ancient truth folds back onto your life today. That unease you feel meeting someone new, before you've consciously decided whether to trust them. That specific comfort of a certain smell, a certain song, that you can't quite place but that settles your whole nervous system anyway. These are not random. They may be echoes of a period of your life that built your emotional architecture before it built your ability to remember doing so. You are not missing those years. You are made of them. So the next time you look at a photo of yourself as an infant, laughing at something you'll never recall, don't think of it as a loss. Think of it as construction. Somewhere in that laughing, forgotten moment, a piece of the person reading these words right now was being quietly put into place. The memory didn't survive, but you did. And in a way, that photo isn't a record of something you've forgotten. It's a record of something you became.